Warriors dug too big of a hole in the first half. They played great in the third quarter. Curry spins into a three. It's an air ball and goes out of bounds. Well, that should do it. I don't think the Warriors will foul here. And L.A. will go to 11 games above 500. Warriors will drop to 1 below. And a woeful record against Pacific Division opponents. They're 1-10 against teams inside their own division. Buzzer sounds, ball game over. Golden State trailed by 26 in the first half, and that was just too much to overcome, despite a spirited second half performance.
Yes, it was. Warriors ultimately lose this one by only 8 points. They put up a good fight in the second half, but we're well past moral victories for this team. They fall back below 500, now 25-26. They lose to the Lakers again. They've lost to the Lakers 3 times over the last 5 weeks. Christmas, a couple of weeks ago, both of those games at Chase Center, and now down in L.A. The Warriors playing against the Lakers in L.A. for the first time this year. Warriors now 0-3 against the Lakers this season, and it was LeBron James who got the job done. He finishes with, this is not a fake stat line, this is a real stat line, believe it or not, 42 points, 17 rebounds, and 8 assists. He makes 6 of his 9 threes, and he wills the Lakers to a victory. When the Warriors got off to a really slow start, down by as many as 26 points in the first half. They trailed by 20 at halftime. The effort, frankly, really bad, really poor in the first half. It was much, much better in the second half. But as you heard Tim Roy say, the Warriors just dug themselves too big of a hole, and they could not completely climb out of it. They got back within 5 at one point. They had the ball down 5. They had the ball down 6 often. There were a couple of opportunities that they could have cut it to 3. There was one possession the Warriors were down by 6, and Steph missed a 3. The Warriors got the offensive rebound. Steph missed the reload 3. Either of those go in, the Warriors would have only been down by 3. The Warriors just could not quite get all the way back. Again, they got from 26 down to within 5, but ultimately they lose this game by 8. The final score, 120-112. And frankly, it was a pretty poor effort for the Warriors in the first half. Let's just begin with the first quarter. Warriors committed 7 turnovers in the first quarter. The Lakers turned those into 9 points off of turnovers. In the paint, in the first quarter alone, the Lakers 18-2 was the advantage. In the fast break category, the Lakers 12-0 in the first quarter. On the fast break, the Warriors only made 7 field goals. In the first quarter, they had 7 turnovers. That was the beginning of this basketball game for the Warriors, and it only continued the rest of the way. How about this number? And I think this is the biggest thing that jumps out for me for this basketball game. The Warriors' simple refusal to get back on defense. I don't know what the hell was going on. The Lakers, though, dominated this basketball game in the fast break. 35-9 was the advantage for the Lakers on the fast break. 35-9. You lose this game by 8. You get outscored by 26 points on the fast break. That is absurd. 35-9. The Warriors, how many times did we see a shot go up, whether it was a 3 or a 2 or in the paint? Whatever the situation was, generally you get the fast break buckets off of missed deep shots. But, say Steph's taking a shot deep left wing and it's Buddy Hield on the right wing, or it's Pajemski on the right wing, or whoever it is on the right wing. It's their job to get back and to make sure that the opposing team doesn't have a fast break bucket. And that player over and over and over again, whoever it was, lackadaisical and just not willing to get back. That's simple basketball principles. It's what you learn when you're playing like 4th grade basketball. All right, a shot goes up, you're on the perimeter, and you weren't the guy that took the shot, like you're on the opposite side of the ball. It's your job to sprint back and make sure no one can get over the top of you for a fast break bucket. And the Lakers just beat that like a drum over and over and over and over again. And frankly, it was pretty embarrassing in the first half. Now, the overall effort got better in the second half. I thought offensively the Warriors played with a little more verve and personality in the second half, but still those issues defensively in the fast break were still there. in the second half. I don't really know what got into the Warriors defensively. Didn't really make a lot of sense. But frankly, pretty bad in the first half. It was much better in the second half, but ultimately a loss is a loss. And like I said off the jump, this is a Warrior team that is not in the position to be celebrating moral victories. And while the Warriors outscored the Lakers by 12 points in the second half, they got outscored by 20 in the first half, and they lose by 8 as a result. All right, welcome in. Warriors wrap up here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you for a second consecutive night. The Warriors have lost each of the first 2 games of this road trip. Tonight isn't great, of course, and I'm not trying to make it sound like this was a good loss. It's certainly a better loss than last night, though. And of these 2, last night's going to hurt a whole hell of a lot more. You were up by 11 in Utah, a Utah team that really is more interested in losing basketball games this year than not. Plus, they were down their 2 best offensive players. You led by 11 with 3 minutes left, and you lose that basketball game. Now, we don't need to relitigate everything that happened in that game last night, but winning and taking care of business with an 11-point lead and 3 minutes to go last night would make this loss tonight a little easier to swallow. But on the heels of what happened last night, it felt like the Warriors really needed to come out and do their best to get themselves a win, and that effort in the first half was just not passable. I'm sorry. It was pretty disgusting. It was lackadaisical, the word I'm seeing here on the YouTube chat, powered by First NorCal Credit Union, youtube.com/957 The Game. Seeing some texts come in as well. The 707, say it backwards. Shout out to the 707. That's my neck of the woods. Also, the 408 is chiming in as well. The 650, the 510. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in here on Warriors Wrap-Up. Bad, terrible effort in the first half. Things got better in the second half, but it was too little too late for the Warriors. So again, welcome in. Warriors Wrap-Up. I'm Mark Randy. 888-957-9570. That's the number to call. It's also our text line. And I'm keeping an eye on our YouTube chat. Again, youtube.com/957 The Game. The backdrop on everything Warriors right now is Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler was in attendance down in L.A. tonight. In fact, he was in San Francisco earlier taking his physical. Everything checked out good there. And then he flew back down to join the team in L.A. At that point, the trade became official, and that happened this afternoon, I think in the 5 o'clock hour, towards the end of our afternoon show here on 95.7 The Game if you were listening to Willard and Dibbs. And then the pregame show began at 6, and Warriors tipped off at 7. At that point, the trade had all become finalized and official, and we actually got a Jimmy Butler and Mike Dunleavy press conference before the game. And before we do get out of here tonight, we're going to hear a lot of the meaningful stuff that Jimmy Butler had to say. And I'm already seeing a couple of texts come in on our text line. And again, 888-957-9570. The 707 says, after watching Jimmy Butler's press conference, I feel a lot better about the move. Next 2 seasons are looking very nice. Interesting takeaway there from the 707. I'll let you hear. I'll play some of the Jimmy Butler answers from that press conference for you before we get on out of here tonight. But for now, let's keep breaking down this basketball game. As it relates to Jimmy Butler, the Warriors are going to look a whole hell of a lot better when Jimmy Butler takes the floor. And all expectations is that he's going to do that Saturday in Chicago against the Bulls. In fact, you know what? Let me just spoil a little bit of this for you. Jimmy Butler asked pregame tonight if he will be playing Saturday in Chicago. Here's what he said.
I would think so. I hope so. We got to ask Boston.
You hope so.
Yeah. I'm ready. Yeah. Saturday it is.
Okay, so that's the boss man that he referred to, Mike Dunleavy, and Mike Dunleavy said, yeah, I hope so. So the plan is Saturday for Jimmy Butler. So the Warriors are going to look, and I guarantee you this, they're going to look a lot better with Jimmy Butler on the floor. But the bottom line is if this team has aspirations on making a push to get a playoff spot, which is top 6 or surviving the play-in, and maybe winning a series, going to a Western Conference semifinal, maybe win 2 series and go to the Western Conference Finals, which seems like a far cry for this team right now considering they're 25-26. They're going to need more than just Jimmy Butler stepping in here. And obviously the trade deadline has passed. Now I would imagine the Warriors will be active on the buyout market, and there is a decent chance you see new faces. There will be new faces added to the full-time roster. They have open roster spots, and they have to get back up to 14 by the 20th of February. I would imagine at least one, maybe two of those spots will be via two-way contracts converted to fully guaranteed deals. Quentin Post, I think, is a lock to be one of them. And honestly, we might see Pat Spencer, another one. The Warriors, though, I think are going to be very heavily involved in the buyout market. And we'll see if they bring somebody else in, maybe someone like a Kelly Olynyk. We will see how the buyout market shapes out. And of course, whenever news breaks in that regard, we'll have it for you here on 95.7 The Game. My point is, though, beyond just Jimmy Butler stepping in and making the Warriors better, because he will, he's going to give the Warriors a legitimate scoring option that can get his own offense, which is what this team desperately covets. It's another ball handler, secondary ball handler, and it's another creator for others. I think one of Jimmy Butler's least respected, or maybe his most underappreciated aspect of his game is his passing. He is a quality passer, and I think the Warriors are going to see that in action. And that's not even mentioning what he does defensively. He's a hell of a defender as well. But just adding Jimmy Butler to this team, it's not like that's suddenly going to turn this basketball team into a championship roster. The Warriors need everybody else to start playing better. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody else. Like, look, and so much of this is because of what the roster is right now. And the Warriors were, I say depleted when really the only guy that did not play that was available to play, or that was unavailable to play and did not play, was Jonathan Kuminga. And now that's a big absence. No doubt. I'm not trying to say that Jonathan Kuminga is not valuable to this team, because of course he is. But it's not like the Warriors are down so many players that they expect to have in another 2 weeks, right? Like, Wiggins isn't just gone now. He's gone forever. Same with Dennis Schroeder, and same with Kyle Anderson, and same with Lindy Waters. Like, those dudes are gone, and they're not coming back. Kuminga was essentially the only guy missing this game for the Warriors, and Jimmy Butler. You get those two back, it's going to feel different. It's going to look different. This team is better with those two, and specifically with Jimmy Butler, because he's going to return and make his debut on Saturday well before Jonathan Kuminga is going to make his return from his ankle sprain. But I can get to the point here. I know I'm talking in circles a little bit. Jimmy Butler's going to make this team better, but they need everybody else to play a whole of a hell lot better. You look at some of the numbers, and Steph Curry tonight, 37 points. On the surface, that looks great, right? 37 points for Steph Curry. He had to do that on 35 shots. 35 shot attempts for Steph Curry to get to 37. He has of late become a volume scorer. A volume scorer. And again, this isn't just Steph has fallen off a cliff. This isn't that at all. Steph is still an incredible basketball player and is the Warriors' most important player. Of course, still, even with Jimmy Butler on this team. It's at a situation now where everybody else on the roster is so not respected offensively that Steph is rarely able to get a good look. Now, is he going through a little bit of a shooting slump? Yeah, I would say so. I think that's fair. He's not hitting as many of the good looks as he normally has been, but I think the good looks aren't coming around as often. And you get to a situation where no one else is that much of a threat offensively. I don't know how you guys feel, and you can let me know, 888-957-9570. Give me a call, shoot me a text, join the conversation on YouTube. I'd prefer Steph put up 35 shots than a lot of the other options that this team currently has on offense. Now, that changes, I think, when when Jimmy Butler and when Jonathan Kuminga are available and are playing. But right now with this roster, Stephen Curry putting up 35 shots, hell yeah, bring it on. Might as well. I don't know what else the Warriors are going to do offensively. All you got to do, look no further than this. Look no further than this. There was a decent stretch of basketball in the first quarter when the Warriors, 5 on the floor, their 5 players on the court at once, were these 5. Pat Spencer, Brandon Pajemski, Moses Moody, Jackson Rowe, and Quentin Post. That was a group of 5 on the court for the Warriors for a decent chunk of this first quarter tonight. Let me read those names to you again. Pat Spencer, that's a G Leaguer, a 2-way contract. Brandon Pajemski, second-year rookie. Moses Moody, solid rotation player. But we're not going to kid ourselves and think he's anything incredibly special, at least not right now. Jackson Rowe, G Leaguer 2-way guy who was just signed to a 2-way contract. He's been a G Leaguer for the vast majority of the season and only recently made his NBA debut last night. And then Quentin Post, also a 2-way player, a rookie, drafted in the 50s less than a year ago. That was a 5 on the floor for the Warriors tonight. And again, this isn't as if this is an incredibly Warriors roster that is just dealing with a super amount of injuries right now. Kuminga and I guess Guy Santos is together that were not available for the Warriors. But Moody was available. Draymond was available. Trace Jackson-Davis available. Did not play. Oh, Trace Jackson-Davis played 440. It was a little bit, one stretch for Trace Jackson-Davis, but that was it. Like, this is a Warrior team that is not dealing with a ton of injuries right now, yet you had a rotation that included, again, Spencer, Pajemski, Moody, Rowe, and Post. If I were to ask you who 3 of those guys were at the beginning of this season, I'm not sure how many Warrior fans would be able to know and identify Pat Spencer, Jackson Rowe, and Quentin Post. And it's nothing against those guys. It's just, that's the reality of this Warriors roster right now. And I think there was a major problem that this Warriors roster has had for quite a while, and I think it kind of got solved at the trade deadline because they just had too many guys that are like the 8th through 10th guy on the roster. The Warriors' issue was their 6th guy on the roster was like most teams' 8s, and so on and so forth. The Warriors' 7th man was, or an opponent's 7th man was like, no, I'm saying it right the first way. The Warriors' 7th man is like an opponent's 9th man or 10th man, and just keep going down the line. The Warriors had a plethora of like playable rotation pieces, but they all kind of filled the back end of the rotation. And some of them have been starting a lot of basketball games right now. Although Buddy Hield's shot is falling a little bit more the last couple of games, he ideally is not a starter and more of a, 7th, 8th man for the Warriors. But that's not their reality right now. And by the way, I hate to break this news to you. I guess it's not breaking news. My opinion, I think I have a good idea of how Steve Kerr views the roster right now. I think Jimmy Butler and Buddy Hield are going to start. I think Buddy Hield's going to start at the 2. Jimmy Butler will start at the 3. Draymond will start at the 4. And Quentin Post will start at the 5. I would imagine, along with Steph at the 1, that's the Warriors starting lineup once Jimmy Butler debuts coming up on Saturday. But that's the reality of the Warriors roster. And what the trade did for Jimmy Butler was it kind of got rid of a chunk of those like plethora of 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th men. Like, you traded 4 dudes out. One of them was Wiggins, a starter. Another one was Schroeder, who had kind of been a starter or your 6th or 7th man. But then you got rid of Slow-Mo and of Lindy Waters, who in and out of the rotation, at times playing big minutes, at times very few minutes, at times not playing at all. You got rid of those 2, and it kind of just magically solves some of those rotation issues. Like, the Warriors aren't going to have a problem where they're like, oh, well, we feel like 12 dudes deserve minutes tonight. Like, that's not going to be an issue anymore. But you also then run into issues where if a guy or 2 is missing time, and like Kuminga right now and Jimmy Butler tonight, you're down those 2 guys tonight, you're going to have to see a decent amount of Pat Spencer minutes. You're going to have to see some Jackson Rowe minutes. You're going to have to see maybe a few more Quentin Post minutes than you might hope for. So like that is the other side of this. If the Warriors are fully healthy and they have everybody available, you don't really miss the Slow-Mos that much. You don't really miss Lindy Waters that much. But would you rather see Slow-Mo get more minutes or Jackson Rowe get more minutes? Like, there's not a comparison there. So that is where there's a balancing act going on to this Warriors roster. I ultimately think a 3-for-1, a 4-for-1 trade solves more problems than it creates. And once you get Jimmy Butler back and then another week or week and a half or 2 weeks for you get Kuminga back, maybe post All-Star break, we're going to see that pay off. But it's a little difficult right now when you're down 2 of maybe your 3 best scorers, at the very least, your 2 of your 4 best scorers, because now you're having to rely on those other guys who are two-way contracts and guys that should be spending a lot of their time right now in the G League. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Al in Alameda is standing by. Plus, we are going to hear from Steve Kerr and Jimmy Butler and Mike Dunleavy. We got that coming up for you on the other side. But first, let's go out to Al, who's standing by again in Alameda. He wants to talk about Jimmy Butler. Al, what's up? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up. How you doing?
Hey, good evening. Thank you, Mark. Yes, my first take here, Jimmy Bucket here. You know, I watched the Warriors, since when? But now I see it that we need somebody who could post up. Jimmy G, he's the type who would post up. He will hold the ball for about 10 seconds, but at least it gives the other player to rest a little. Then he will get fouled. He get in the line. He's that type of a player. He's like James Harden, but not too long on the ball. He'll massage the ball a little longer, but he's the type who would post the game. Okay, that will kind of help us out there. Okay, and also you got a big there. You got what, 6'7", 6'8". All right. Now you mentioned about the first 5 that you was thinking about. Buddy Hield. You got Jimmy G. You got Curry, and you got Post, and you got Draymond. Where's Kuminga? Was he going to be coming in from the bench? Okay, you can answer that later. Okay, and third of all, okay, I know Curry, he scored 36, 37 points tonight, but he's still kind of iffy. The beginning of 5 minutes, he got 2 turnovers right away. I hate to see him when he does that idiotic pass over his shoulder. Oh, my God, it drives me crazy. He'll give you a score. You say, oh, yes. But when he makes turnovers like that, it kills you. Like last night. Oh, my God. He started at 2 minutes, 40 seconds. He created a problem. Turnovers. And Looney, he needs to step up and slam the ball. Like last night, he just made a little layup and missed and got blocked. Tonight, and Curry again, 2 layups, he missed. Simple bunny shot. Oh, everything is just falling down. It's just avalanche, okay? And I cannot wait for Jimmy G to come in. Please, okay. If 5 games, Jimmy G, we're not doing good, oh, my God. I will not watch the Warriors game anymore.
Yeah. Appreciate the call, Al. I think you mean Jimmy Butler. I feel like we're going back to 2019 49ers, Jimmy G. Jimmy Butler, old habits die hard. Another Jimmy in the Bay. Jimmy Butler is going to come in and he's going to make a big impact. There's no doubt. But again, like I said earlier, everybody else needs to play better. Like Jimmy Butler is not just going to be this guy that can solve all of the Warriors' issues. We can talk for a second about Steph Curry. Although you know what, I'll hold it because we got to take a quick break. I gotta read to you Steph's numbers over his last 6 games. The shooting numbers, they're ugly, not pretty at all. So I'll give you some of those numbers. We got to hear from Steve Kerr. We're going to hear from Jimmy Butler and Mike Dunleavy. We got a lot to get into as Warriors Wrap-Up continues. It's Mark Randy with you. The Dubs fall to the Lakers tonight, 120-112. They're back below 500 now at 25-26. We'll get into more on the other side. It's Mark Randy with you on Warriors Wrap-Up right here on 95.7 The Game.
A little elevation sensation for Moses Moody.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
Yeah, Moses Moody was solid again in this one, back in double-figure scoring, 14 points, 4 of 10 from the field, made 2 of his 6 threes, had 5 rebounds, a couple of assists, and it was Moses Moody that helped turn this game around. Warriors down 20 at halftime, and they did not go back with the original starting lineup. They started this game with Steph Curry alongside Brendan Pajemski, Buddy Hield, Draymond Green, and Quentin Post. And instead, to begin the second half, the Warriors went with Steph Curry, Brandon Pajemski, Buddy Hield, and then Moses Moody at the 4, sliding Draymond Green to the 5. So Moody in instead of Post to begin the second half, and that turned the game around. The Warriors immediately go on an 8-0 run to begin the second half. They go on a 14-5 run pretty quickly in the third quarter. They were down 20. They get back within 11. They ultimately get back within 6 a couple of times in the third quarter. Didn't get any closer than that until they got within 5 with a handful of minutes to go in the basketball game. They ultimately lose this game by 8, 120 to 112. But I think the Warriors and Steve Kerr stumbled into a lineup that they stumbled into a lesson that they have learned over and over and over again. The Warriors are at their best when they go small, when Draymond Green is playing the 5. And honestly, that is one of the major issues that this Warriors team has right now, is because they know, everyone knows. I think everyone in that building knows the Warriors are best when Draymond Green is playing the 5. The issue is Draymond Green can't play the 5 that often anymore. So how do you balance keeping Draymond healthy? And by the way, he went out of this game for 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, tried to swipe at a driving Laker. I believe it was Dorian Finney-Smith who was driving past Buddy Hield. Draymond trying to swipe and kind of lunged over towards DFS. And as he's lunging over, his head kind of goes shoulder level of Buddy Hield. And there's some contact, nothing brutal, but Draymond kind of head, neck, shoulder area makes contact with Buddy Hield, slightly pushes him away, and he immediately grabs the back of his neck and immediately goes down to the locker room. It honestly felt like it was going to be a bigger deal than it turned out to be. He just missed 3 minutes, came back in and finished the game. But that's the reality the Warriors are facing. Draymond is at his best when he's the 5. But how long can Draymond hold up playing the 5? It worked in a short burst to begin the third quarter, and now it'll be interesting to see what lineup the Warriors go with once Jimmy Butler makes his debut, which is coming up on Saturday in Chicago, Warriors and Bulls. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get on out of here at the end of the night. But the Warriors found out again, it seems like their best lineup probably features Draymond Green at the 5. It's interesting because what happens once you have Jonathan Kuminga available as well, because Kuminga generally is best at the 4. The Warriors seem to think that Moses Moody's best at the 4 as well. Although I'm seeing a lot, and I see it right now on our YouTube chat and on our text line, youtube.com/957thegame and 888-957-9570, that they want Buddy Hield to be starting or coming off the bench, and they want Moses Moody in the starting lineup. And I think generally I hear you, but the Warriors feel that Moses Moody is best as the 4. Definitely not as the 2 and still not as the 3. They think that Moses Moody is best used as a 4, which creates a logjam because if the Warriors think Moody's best at the 4, they also think Kuminga's best at the 4, and even though Draymond's best at the 5, they feel like they have to play Draymond way more minutes at the 4 than anywhere else. So you got 3 quality players who are best at the same position, and you have a hard time playing any of them on the floor with each other because, again, you don't want to play Draymond that many minutes at the 5, and if Kuminga's playing 4, are they going to play Moody at the 3? I think they could, but for whatever reason, they don't want to. So it creates kind of a logjam at that specific position, and it begs the question, when you have Jimmy Butler, who's also going to take up probably the 3 spot, he can play some 2, but I think generally going to take up the 3 spot. What does that mean for Moody? What does that mean for Kuminga? What does that mean for Draymond? It's going to be interesting to find out how that all works for the Warriors going forward. Okay, 888-957-9570, and the 650 is chiming in about what I'm talking about, the Warriors feeling that Moody is best at the 4. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, 650. In fact, Moody must have been, I don't know, maybe 10 days ago now. I think it was early last week when he was asked, I believe it was by the folks at NBC Sports Bay Area on the postgame show. I can't remember if it was Bonte, Moley, or Festus. Those three all do a great job, and they asked Moses Moody, I don't remember if it was postgame or if it was halftime. They asked him on the broadcast, on the NBC Sports Bay Area broadcast, what's the difference between playing the 2 or the 3 versus the 4? And Moody essentially said, well, no different, really. It's only different on the defensive end. Now, I think there's some truth to Moody being a little bit better at defending 3s and 4s than 2s. Moody is not the quickest. He's slow laterally compared to other 2s, other guards. And he's got enough bulk and enough strength to where I think he can defend a lot of 4s in the NBA, especially the 4s in this second's Lakers team, because without AD, they also don't have Mark Williams yet, the big they acquired from the Hornets, who's not officially a Laker yet. That trade has not been finalized just yet. He can defend, I think, 3s and 4s better than 2s. But offensively, there is, I think, plenty of room for Moody to be the 2. I think once you get Jimmy Butler in here that takes some of the onus defensively off of Moody, that maybe you could be able to get away with playing Moody at the 2 or the 3 alongside Jimmy Butler and also either Draymond Green or Jonathan Kuminga. So we will see. But as of right now, given the Warriors roster and who else is around, the Warriors feel like Moody is best at the 4 and they don't want to play him a lot elsewhere. I think it would be best for the Warriors to consider changing that, especially once Jimmy Butler is back and ready to play, which will come up on Saturday in Chicago against the Bulls. 888-957-9570. Let's, really quick for just a second here, can we just respect what LeBron James is? And I know it's a little painful, but LeBron James tonight, 42 points. He had 17 rebounds and 8 assists. He was 14 for 25 from the field, 6 of 9 from downtown, and 8 of 10 from the free throw line. No player older than 30, how about this? No player older than 30 has recorded a game with 30 or more points, 15 or more rebounds, 5 or more assists, and 5 or more threes until tonight, and LeBron is 40. LeBron is 40. He became the first player 30 or older to have 30 or more points, 15 or more rebounds, 5 or more assists, and 5 or more threes. And he's 40. And he didn't just have 30 or more, and 15 or more, and 5 or more, and 5 or more threes. He had 42 points, 17 rebounds, 8 assists, and 6 made threes at age 40. He's the second player ever to score 40 or more points in a single game at age 40. The only other, and it always comes back to him, MJ. LeBron joins MJ as the only 40-year-old to ever score 40 or more in a basketball game. LeBron was out of his mind tonight, and he led the Lakers to a victory, 120-112. I know oftentimes it has come at the expense of the Warriors, but it never gets old watching LeBron James play basketball. Okay, let's get to some of the things that Jimmy Butler had to say pregame today. He had his introductory press conference down in L.A., alongside Mike Dunleavy. Jimmy Butler, what do you want to do? What do you hope to accomplish here as a Golden State Warrior?
For myself, I'm so happy to be playing basketball again, honestly. But for an organization like this one, with some hellified talent that we have, I'm glad that I get the opportunity to get here and help get us to winning and do something special. I think that's why I'm here, and I will do my best to do what everybody wants, and that's to win a championship. I mean it.
Okay, Jimmy Butler wants to win a championship, and he says he means it. He talked a little bit about how happy he is just to be playing basketball again for an organization like this. Jimmy, expand on that for us.
This is a great choice, and the best part about everything is I never say anything, so nobody actually really knows what's really going on because it never comes from my mouth. Out of everything that's been going on, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be able to play basketball again, meaningful basketball at that. I always leave it at that. I'm able to go and go out and do what I love. And I'm happy that it's for an organization like Golden State.
So that was Jimmy referencing the fact that the Phoenix Suns were reportedly his ideal team to be traded to. And he essentially said, well, no one really knows what I want because I never say anything. So I don't know how anybody could actually know that. But he's just happy to be playing some meaningful basketball once again. Jimmy, what about playing alongside Hall of Famer Steph Curry? What does that mean to you?
That they always play winning basketball and they'll do whatever it takes to win. I think that's what I respect most about those guys. And they've won at so many different levels, obviously at the highest level, and done it multiple times. So not only can I bring some things to this team, I think they can teach me a whole lot.
Oh, interesting. They can teach Jimmy a whole lot. I mean, he's a hell of a winner, but he hasn't won 4 championships like the Warriors have. There's no doubt about that. One of the questions that I've had for the Warriors and for Jimmy Butler is how does he fit this team specifically offensively? Because I think most of us can agree what the Warriors are in dire need of and they're still in need of is shooting. Scoring, and Jimmy Butler will provide scoring, but he's not going to be an incredible floor spacer from deep. So, Jimmy, how do you feel you're going to fit into this team?
I think I'm going to fit right in. It's all about winning. So whatever happens. But at the end of the day, if it's for the right reasoning and it's to get a W in that column, what else really matters?
Okay. I mean, that doesn't really answer my concern, but Jimmy Butler going to do whatever it takes to try to win basketball games. One of the other questions, and I fielded so many calls and texts and tweets about Jimmy Butler and his mindset. Well, you know, he wanted out of Miami and he caused this thing. He got suspended 3 times. What's stopping him from feeling that and doing that again here with Golden State? My answer to you was, well, he has the contract extension, which is what caused the stink in Miami. He wanted an extension, didn't get it. He has his extension now. What is there to be upset about? Here's Jimmy Butler talking about his mental state.
I'm at a really good place mentally. This mini break that I didn't want but had during the year, I got to spend more time with my kids, more times with my loved ones, and to reflect on a lot. I'm in shape. I'm ready to go. I've been training. I've been running up and down, laughing, smiling, and having fun. But now I get to do one of the things that I love more than anything, and that's to compete.
Okay, he's in a great place mentally, and he gets to compete again. Kind of ironic because, Jimmy, you were the main reason why you weren't competing earlier. And I know there's 2 sides to every story, but you were purposefully forcing Miami's hand. You knew suspensions were coming. You knew you were not going to play because of your actions, but he seems to be in a good spot right now. Here's more Jimmy Butler talking about Steph and talking about how all he cares about is winning.
I think our personalities are going to be fine. I would like to say that I am a winner. I haven't won it, but I would like to call myself a winner. I do want to win it being a championship. And as far as playing with Steph, I mean, everybody knows he's the greatest shooter in the world, greatest shooter in history. Makes my job a lot easier. I probably got a lot more space out there. But more than anything, I think it's always going to be a team effort. We all got a lot more space out there. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, there's Jimmy Butler. This is a funny one. Jimmy Butler was essentially asked, like, how do you play alongside Steph? What's that going to be like? Here's what he said.
We good. Pass the ball to Steph and get out the way. Easy.
That's pretty straightforward. Jimmy said, hey, get the ball to Steph and then get the hell out of the way. Let him do his thing. And that is generally what's best for the Warriors. Okay, one more from Jimmy Butler. One of the big words in Warriors franchise in this era of Warriors basketball is joy. Jimmy Butler, I think, brought up that word. Here's more Jimmy.
Yeah, I got a feeling I'm finna be back in a big way, too. So I'm smiling. Like I said, I've been going at it. I've been training. I've been doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. I know that I have my joy back now. I'm in a different situation, different group of guys. I can't wait to get out there and compete. I've had all the family time that I need.
All the family time that you love to hear that for a guy who's trying to lock in for the final 31 games of the regular season and hopefully a postseason run as well. He's got his joy back. If you watch the press conference as well, I mean, he could not get that smile off of his face. So I don't know how you all feel hearing Jimmy talk about that, Warrior fans, and you can let me know. Shoot me a text, give me a call, 888-957-9570. I think that should assuage some of your worries, concerns, fears that he's just a malcontent who's going to cause problems everywhere he goes. He has the contract extension. He's in a place that he seems to want to be. He's next to players that he respects. I think Jimmy's going to be all right mentally. I think we can check off that portion of it, at least for this season. Now, the other big thing is, can he stay healthy? And that's the big thing for all these Warrior players right now, because they are a team full of veteran players. But if you get a locked-in Jimmy, and I feel confident that you will, you get a healthy Jimmy, he's going to be immediately the Warriors' second-best player, and there will be nights where he is their best player. That is how good Jimmy Butler still is on both ends of the basketball court. One thing from general manager Mike Dunleavy, he pulled this deal off, talking about how important it is to start stacking some W's.
This is never an easy time of year when you have to do some of this stuff and make some of these moves. You know, we're in the business of winning. We made an acquisition of a guy sitting next to me who's one of the best in the league, an elite two-way player, and we are thrilled to have him into the fold. You know, I think this is the type of thing where we got to hit the ground running right away. Not a lot of room for error. We were sitting here at 500, 32 games to go, so it's time to get winning.
Yeah, and now below 500, 25 and 26. That was the Jimmy Butler introductory press conference from earlier today. It was pregame before the Warriors took on the Lakers in LA. The Warriors have since lost. They lose 120 to 112. They're now 25 and 26 on the season. As you heard Mike Dunleavy say, 500, now a game under, 32 games left, now 31 games left. And the number that I was throwing out to you on Warriors Live earlier today was in the Warriors' final 32. The goal to get out of the play-in and be the 6th seed should be somewhere around 22 and 10. 22 more wins puts you at 47 wins. 47 wins, you feel like that might be enough to get you up to the 6th seed. If you do that, you get a guaranteed postseason series. Anything less than that, you're in the play-in at best, or if the Warriors are where they currently are, you miss the play-in entirely, and you don't have any postseason basketball guaranteed. They lose tonight, so now instead of 22 and 10, you got to go maybe something more like 22 and 9 over the final 31 games of your regular season, which is difficult to do. The Warriors had a 12 and 3 stretch, and they have been pretty darn bad since then. They were 12 and 3. The Warriors, since being 12 and 3, are now 13 and 23. 13 and 23 the Warriors are since a 12 and 3 beginning. Do they have a 22 and 9 stretch in them? There doesn't seem to be a lot of reason to believe yes, but you haven't seen Jimmy Butler in a Warriors basketball uniform yet, and that will change coming up on Saturday when the Warriors are in Chicago taking on the Bulls. That game tips off at 5. We've got pregame coverage for you beginning at 4. Here on 95.7 The Game. Okay, let's get to Steve Kerr, who addressed the media postgame earlier tonight as well. Kerr, after the Warriors' loss, I'm sure he mentions some things about Jimmy Butler as well. But Kerr reacting to a Warriors loss in LA versus the Lakers, 120-112 the final score. Here's Steve Kerr postgame.
8-second violation. What did you see on that play?
I saw an 8-second violation. It was pretty obvious. So very disappointing that it wasn't called, but it's not why we lost. I mean, we when you allow 5 home run, passes over the top with no defensive awareness for 10 points, you don't deserve to win. So loved our fight in the second half. Loved the way the guys competed. That's what it's going to have to feel like. The rest of the season, we got to bring that level of energy, but we have to add the awareness and the feel of, not giving up the easy stuff when it comes to transition, pick 6 passes, fouling when they're in the bonus. They shot 36 free throws tonight. So, too many plays that gave them easy points, and that was the difference in the game.
Oh, you yelling 5 at the bench after the 5th, home run pass you're talking about. I assume that was something you were just hammering them.
It's number 5. That's the 5th one. I mean, I always feel like these games are nothing more than, a compilation of 200 plays, 100 on each end. And which team handles its business for more of those 200 possessions, Can you limit the easy stuff? Can you make it difficult? No matter what you do, the other team is going to score 100 points in the NBA, no matter what you do. They had 120 tonight. I guarantee I'll be able to find at least 20 that we handed to them based on lack of execution. That's the stuff we have to clean up. And I'm confident that we can, but we can't just talk about it. We've got to do it.
35-9 in fast break points. What was the biggest factor there as you're kind of talking about some of those home run passes?
Just not being aware. And then, some turnovers. They got 18 points off our 12 turnovers. So the turnover number wasn't big, but there were some big ones. The play at the end of the third. We have the last shot. We got to get the last shot, and pick six. And LeBron scores at the other end. So we have to lock in. We've always prided ourselves on being loose, playing freely. I don't want our guys ever thinking about missing a shot or, even taking a shot. I want them to let it fly, but there has to be a sense of purpose that goes with that. And that's the responsibility that comes with, getting this kind of freedom to play. So you got to find that balance. And that's what I'm most interested in here the last 31 games.
All right, there's Steve Kerr post-game earlier tonight after the Warriors lose in L.A. to the Lakers 120-112. I think the vast majority of those 3 minutes is Steve Kerr was talking about what I opened the show with, which was what are the Warriors doing on the fast break defense? Just fast break bucket after fast break bucket. The Lakers outscored the Warriors 35-9 in the fast break. 35-9. And Steve Kerr talking about the home run plays where you just, like a baseball throw, or maybe the better way to think of it is a quarterback just like full extension, throwing the ball down the court to a wide open guy over the top of everybody else on defense, an easy lay-in or dunk. Steve Kerr also talked about one moment at the end of the third quarter. He talked about just one, but there were two. There was this huge moment at the end of the third quarter. The Warriors, let me find it here for you. The Warriors had the ball down by 7 with 1 minute left in the third quarter. Down by 7, 1 minute left. And then they commit a turnover that leads to an easy, uncontested Rui Hachimura dunk. They get the ball back at that point, now down 9. And they commit another turnover, which leads to a LeBron James uncontested fast break dunk. And then you don't score the other way. You're down by 11 going into the fourth quarter. When even if you just didn't score, if you didn't turn the ball over and you just airballed a couple of shots, you could have been down by 7. Yet you shoot yourselves in the foot twice in the final minute of the third quarter. You commit 2 terrible turnovers, leads to easy buckets the other way. You're down by 11. And by the way, you could have scored. You could have been down by like 5, maybe going into the fourth quarter if you took advantage of those possessions. Instead, you committed turnovers, and you were down by 11. The Warriors fought back, got back within 5 at one point in the fourth, but it was, again, too little too late for the Warriors at that point. And I think Steve Kerr is right to harp on some of those major mistakes. I see a real big conversation going on in our YouTube chat right now, powered by First NorCal Credit Union, youtube.com/957thegame. A lot of conversations around Steve Kerr and how he's to blame for the Warriors' loss tonight, and Buddy Hield shouldn't be closing basketball games, and what is Podziemski doing out there tonight? And I just got one simple question for everyone feeling like Steve Kerr lost this Warriors basketball game tonight. What else is he supposed to do? Who else is he supposed to play? What is he supposed? You want to see more Jackson Rowe? Pat Spencer played a good amount, but the Warriors aren't trusting Pat Spencer over Brandon Podziemski, who was awesome last night. I know he missed some open shots. His shot wasn't falling, but he was still doing everything else well in this basketball game. Podziemski finished with 8 points. He had 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Only turned the ball over once in 34 and a half minutes. That's a pretty good game. Now, if he was making his shots, it would have been a great game. I am so intrigued by everyone who feels like Steve Kerr's to blame for a game like this. Now, I think there's plenty of reason to think that Steve Kerr hasn't had a great season. No doubt I agree with you there. But I don't know what else Steve Kerr is supposed to do tonight. He's not the one missing open threes. He's not the one failing to get back in transition. He's not the one fouling over and over and over again. And oh, by the way, there does seem to be a major inequity in Lakers versus opponents' free throws. I mean, free throw line kept the Lakers in this game in the second half. Let me throw out some numbers for you. Let me throw out some of these numbers for you because the Lakers, they stayed in the game with the free throw line. Their offense was cooking in the first half. They scored 69 points in the first half. They were nearly 50% from the field in the first half. They were nearly 50% from deep in the first half. They only shot 7 free throws in the first half. In the second half, they were 40% from the field, so like 8% worse from the field. And they only were 21.4% from deep in the second half. So how did they manage to hold on to their lead? They shot 29 free throws in the second half. Lakers go 22 for 29 from the free throw line in the second half. How does that happen? Some of it was some not smart Warrior fouls. Some of it was some questionable officiating and some foul baiting by none other than Austin Reeves, who is quickly becoming one of the best in the league at that. Reeves scored 23 points tonight. 23 points for Austin Reeves tonight. Sounds like a pretty darn good basketball game, right? He was 4 for 17 from the field. 4 for 17 from the field, 0 for 9 from downtown, and he scored 23 points. He was 15 for 16 from the free throw line. Wow. The NBA does have an issue with how they award free throws right now. I'm still at times perplexed by the whistle that Steph Curry gets. I don't want to go to the blame the officials route for a game like this because the Warriors were just so bad in the first half. They don't deserve that excuse. But there is an inequity in how the Lakers are officiated and how other teams are officiated. And Steph Curry is one member of another team who does seem to get not a very good whistle at all. There was one play where Steph Curry driving down the lane and he got bodied, fell over, no whistle. On the other end, Reeves, a little bit of a crazy head fake, jumps into his opponent, gets called for a foul, goes to the line and makes a couple of free throws. There is an inequity there. There's no doubt, but this is also a Warrior team, again, that does not deserve that kind of excuse. Again, Reeves, 23 points. All right, decent game. 4 of 17 from the field, 0 for 9 from downtown, 15 for 16 from the free throw line. The NBA does I think they have to address the foul baiting and the way that it occurs. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is incredible at it. James Harden kind of revolutionized the game in that way. I honestly think the Warriors need more players to do that, even though it's not maybe the most beautiful basketball to watch. It is effective, and teams win basketball games doing that. And as long as officials are letting you do it, you need to take advantage. Honestly, I think the Warriors can take advantage a little bit more than they have so far this season. This is 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, an Odyssey Sports station, always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. For a low-rate auto loan, apply online or just ask for First NorCal financing at the dealer. Joseph on our YouTube chat, powered by First NorCal Credit Union, youtube.com/957 The Game. Joseph saying Jimmy Buckets is on it. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Butler is a guy who's going to be able to get to the free throw line more often than almost anybody else on this Warriors roster, maybe not named Jonathan Kuminga. Once the Warriors have Butler and Kuminga together, they're going to get a whole lot more free throw attempts going forward, which is good because for a team that isn't a great three-point shooter, for a team that is not a great scoring team in the paint, they need all the gimmies that they possibly can. I mean, also, the free throw line has not been a gimme for them all year either. They've been one of the worst teams in the NBA there, although it has been better of late. But they're going to need to get to the line more to support this offense over the course of the final 31 games of the regular season. 888-957-9570. Let's close things out as we always do by running through Crashing the Boards, which, again, is brought to you by Chilton Auto Body, the Bay Area leader in collision repair. On the boards for the Warriors tonight, it was Podziemski who led the way with 8 rebounds, but considering what somebody else did on the other team, I think I got to go to the other side of things here. I mean, LeBron James, 17 rebounds in this game tonight at age 40. He played 38 minutes at age 40, scored 42 points, 17 rebounds, 8 assists. LeBron was absolutely incredible in this game. He gets the honor of crashing the boards. Again, brought to you by Chilton Auto Body, the Bay Area leader in collision repair. Our thanks, as always, to Chilton for their support. LeBron was amazing in this game. 42, 17, and 8. The first 40-year-old since Michael to score 40 points in a game, and he joins Michael as the only 40-year-old to score 40 or more in a basketball game, and he did it against the Golden State Warriors. All right, that'll do it for Warriors Wrap Up tonight. Thanks so much for tuning in. The Warriors lose tonight. Again, the final score 120-112. They're 25-26 on the season. As we update the standings, they are still in 11th. The Suns were idle, so the Suns now a half game ahead of the Warriors. The Kings also lost to the Blazers, who have suddenly won 6 in a row and 10 of 11. The Blazers are on fire right now, and they're only, how about this? The Blazers only 2.5 games behind the Warriors right now. The Blazers are in 13th, 2.5 games behind the Warriors for 11th. The Spurs are a game and a half behind the Warriors. They're sitting in 12th, and then the Blazers right there at 13th. The Warriors got to start stacking some wins together. Their next chance is Saturday in Chicago against the Bulls. Jimmy Butler's debut as a Warrior against his initial team where he began his career. Tip-off is at 5, which means pregame coverage begins at 4 right here on 95.7 The Game. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in all night long here on Warriors Wrap Up. For my guy, Cam Williams behind the glass. Also, Steven Risotto for cutting up all that Jimmy Butler sound. Appreciate the effort from everybody. My name is Mark Randy signing off. We'll talk on Saturday when I got you covered for Warriors Live and Wrap Up. Plus, we've got a full Friday of Dubs Talk tomorrow here on 95.7 The Game as well. Again, for Cam, I'm Mark Randy signing off. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk next time right here on 95.7 The Game.